Alright, so I guess we're gonna dive right into this. A couple of months ago, there was supposed to be a TED Talk hosted by the high school here in Lowell, and I was actually going to be one of their speakers, which is like super exciting, but it didn't end up happening. It's been canceled and rescheduled, but I haven't heard about like a new time, and so I've been kind of sitting on this talk for a while, and so many people have asked me what my talk was going to be on, and so I thought I would share it now because it's something that is so incredibly important to me, and I think it's something that's worth sharing to like our community. In case you don't know me, I've always been on this stage. In the 7th grade, I started dancing with Angkor Dance Troupe, which is a local Cambodian traditional dance troupe here in Lowell. Now that I'm in college, it's a little harder to do, but I'm still trying to do that. And in high school, I did show choir, which is like singing and dancing at the same time. My senior year, I was actually the student director of our show choir, so that was really amazing. And now that I'm in college, I am a part of the Off-Broadway Players, which is our theater group on campus. I'm actually the president of it now, which is like such a great honor because I've gotten to work with so many different people. I've gotten to learn so many things about producing and acting and being a designer. So yeah, but to get to the point, the stage has always been a place that I've been comfortable in. It's a place that I can express myself. It's always been like a second home to me. But the thing is, not everyone has a place like that. For example, when my parents were younger than I am now, they called somewhere else home. Cambodia, before their time, was known as so many things like the Pearl of Asia or an oasis of peace. It sounds like a utopia in a fictional novel that you like hope to one day see. And the thing is, it was. The architecture was breathtaking. A lot of our buildings mimicked like these movements of serpents, and if you don't know Cambodian culture like at all, know this one thing: we love serpents. We're like obsessed with them. We love just how they move. Also, the music, okay? Rock, it was on the rise. Sinsi Samut filled the streets of Cambodia. I'm talking about it as if I actually saw it. I didn't, but I yearn to see Cambodia pre-genocide, pre-Civil War. But anyways, there was just so much space. Like, it's weird to say that, but there were these boulevards that went on for what seemed like miles. There weren't a lot of people. It was beautiful. Not that Cambodia isn't beautiful now, but it seemed like, from what I've read and what I've seen in like old videos and what I've heard from different people who were alive during that time, life in Cambodia was good. It was so good until it wasn't. The Cambodian genocide began in April 1975, and in less than 4 years after the Khmer Rouge came to power, 1.5 to 3 million people were killed. Isn't that so crazy? The fact that a country that was once full of life, known as the Pearl of Asia, an oasis of peace, was now a killing field. The lucky thing is, my family survived the genocide, and we ended up migrating here in Lowell, Massachusetts, before I was even born. Lowell is home to so many Cambodian refugees. You would think that people knew why there were so many Cambodians in Lowell. Like, you would think Lowellians would know, but there is such a huge disconnect between Cambodians and outsiders. But not only that, but the older generation of Cambodians and the younger generation of Cambodians. Why, you might ask? No one wants to talk about it. And it's because it was such a traumatic thing to so many people, such a large population. It's kind of like an understanding that our country had a genocide and it wasn't safe for us to be home anymore. But we're not going to talk about it because it was shitty and nobody wants to reopen their wounds or their scars. And that's understandable. That's a coping mechanism for a lot of people. And it's so easy to look back and say, oh, this is where the problem started. But that's why we look at history, so we don't make the same mistakes twice. But it's so hard to look back at history when nobody wants to talk about the history. People die twice. Once when they actually die, but again when they're forgotten. It's so hard to learn about your roots and your culture when no one wants to talk about it. I went searching in textbooks and in websites that didn't know anything either. Not knowing creates like this sense of void inside yourself, and you feel empty. I felt like I was too Asian in society, but too American in like my Asian community. And I was just like stuck in like this middle where I didn't belong anywhere. Even though our family left Cambodia, the war was still raging on in our heads and no one was talking about it. We were silent. And the crazy thing to me was that the silence was so deafening. Like, I was so lonely and confused and just sad that no one could tell me about me. And like, that sounds really silly, but like, I just wanted to know who I was. And the great thing about this is that it all changed when I went to college. I'm a criminal justice major and I decided to pick up a minor in Asian studies so I could learn a little bit more about my roots and my heritage. In my classes, I actually learned so much. I learned that there was civil war before the genocide even happened, which led to the government being overthrown. This rebel group that overthrew the government was known as the Khmer Rouge, and they named this new government that they had created Anka. So this new government forced everyone into labor camps, and it didn't matter if you were young or old or disabled or handicapped or anything like that, because everyone went into these camps and everyone farmed. We were all the same now, and the goal of this was to try to get rid of anything that was westernized, because truly in their mind, anything westernized was corrupt and bad. And you know what, like thinking about it now, they had every right to feel that way, because the Khmer Rouge was actually born in the countryside, which mainly consisted of poor farmers. Wow. They made their living by, you guessed it, farming. But during the Vietnam War, America was secretly bombing Cambodia at its borders because it was rumored that the Vietnamese troops were in our soil. About 110,000 tons of bombs were dropped, and as more bombs were dropped, more support was given to the Khmer Rouge because they supported one another when their property, their homes, their livestock, their families were killed and they were left with nothing. The wild part about this all is that nobody knows how many casualties there are. It's unknown. It's really hard to feel a certain way about an unknown number, but to so many other people, it was fellow neighbors and classmates and friends. Whole communities were lost. I might not have been there, but that doesn't mean it didn't impact me. We are a domino effect, and whether you see it or not, it's true. For example, electricity. It's such an amazing thing. You're watching this because of electricity. There's light in this room because of electricity. We use electricity every day without even thinking about it. We wake up to it with our phones, we use our laptops, we turn on the lights, and it is such an amazing thing. But if you think about it, what would happen if Benjamin Franklin didn't discover electricity the way he did, or when he did? I wouldn't say that we would have never found electricity, because we would have eventually found it. We as a society are constantly trying to discover and explore, but how long would it have taken us? And how advanced would our technology be today? We truly do stand on the shoulder of giants. We learn from our past and better and advance our future because of it. But imagine how hard it is to start from nothing, to start at ground zero. Like nada. And the thing is, so many families started from nothing. They came to a country with the clothes on their back and that was it. They didn't know any social norms, they didn't know the culture, they didn't know the language, they didn't even know where they were gonna get their next meal. So many families struggled to find their footing after the genocide. Not everyone has the same privileges. Not everyone has the same opportunities, and it was so much harder for my immigrant parents finding jobs because they weren't qualified. I'm the first person in my family to graduate high school and pursue a college career. My parents didn't have that opportunity because studying wasn't going to put food on the table immediately, but working under the table or at a shitty job was, and they needed to support this family somehow. I remember when I was little and my mom had to work the oddest hours, and I used to get so mad because she would leave and I never saw her. But as I'm growing up now, I'm so grateful that she put me above her sleep and her health and I'm sure her sanity. And now that I'm a lot older, I'm understanding that without discomfort, without a challenge, there is no growth. And because I had that foundation, I'm now growing. And again, this goes on the idea of we're a domino effect. And we also stand on the shoulder of giants. And it's just such a crazy thing to me that all these things are clicking, because without my family, I wouldn't be who I am today. I wouldn't be this girl in front of this camera. I wouldn't be the girl I am today, pursuing a college career, trying to be better. And to think that we started off as simple farmers. Our biggest worry was, where was the most fertile soil? Well, today I have that answer. Most people will probably say the Dead Sea, but to me, the most fertile soil is in graveyards. Not because there are decomposing bodies there, but because so many ideas are buried there. When people die, their future impacts and all their potential is lost too. Imagine if someone who was killed during the genocide or during a mass casualty or anyone who died before their time was up had the potential to change the world. It only takes one idea, and it's crazy that all that potential is gone. And the even crazier thing is, there are still genocides happening. The Cambodian genocide might be over, but there are still genocides happening today. Like the Rohingya genocide in Myanmar. There's another one in South Sudan right now. Christians and Yazidis are currently being persecuted right now in Iraq and Syria. Our youths are living through that. And how do we plan on bettering our future if our youth are damaged and traumatized and hurt and lonely and broken? I don't have an answer to that. And it's not just one quick, easy solution. It definitely is so many things that need to be done to make that one thing work. And when it does, it's going to be beautiful. I think education is such an important role, and that change starts with us, with wanting to better ourselves, to better society. My name is Daisy Nitsai-Vichikavar. I am a daughter of refugees. This is not only my story, but the story of those who came before me and the story of those who will live long after me. This is our story.